All right, so today we're going to get into chapter 2. First off, as you're getting into chapter 2, you can use a calculator. The calculator you want to buy, if you see it, if you're thinking about buying your own, is the TI-30XS Multiview. This calculator has fraction buttons, it has probability, it has a table where you can collect things, it has variables, which I'll show you about in the future. It has a whole lot of things that it can do, and pretty much it's about the same. I won't say it's the same, it can't be the same. It's comparable in terms of functions to the graphing calculator that a lot of people will tell you to buy, but the graphing calculator is $100, whereas this calculator here is about $15, and you can usually find it at Best Buy. Walmart might have it on occasion, but I think they usually don't buy it because nobody gets it from there. But typically a technology store like a Best Buy will have it, and again, it's about 15 to 17 bucks. It's a good purchase because what's going to happen is at some point a few years from now you might need to take the SAT, and you want to make sure you have your own calculator so they're not giving you a calculator that you've never used before. Plus, if you get it now and you start mastering it and learning how it works, you can actually use it to your advantage. Now that the commercial's over, chapter 2.1 is about functions and relations. This is not a major part of your chapter test, but it is part of your quiz, so make sure you understand it. It's also part of your homework, which means that you still have to get it to 90% in order to do the extra credit. So every set of ordered pairs represents a relation. So when you have a series of ordered pairs in a group, that is a relation. A relation is a general name for the whole thing because they are all related to each other. A function is a relation where every input corresponds to only one output. So in other words, 1 can lead to 5, 2 leads to 5, 3 leads to 5 is good. Again, if you plug in x equals 1, you're going to get the answer of 5. If you plug in the answer of 2, you're going to get an answer of x equals 5, and so on. So that's not the best example, but I think these will help out at least a little bit with your understanding. When you're looking at this relation, your question is, do I know exactly where x is going to end up? Do I know exactly where 0 is going to be related to? Yes, 0 is going to go to 8. That's it. Do I know exactly where 2 is going to go? Yes, it's going to go to 7. Do I know exactly where 3 is going to go? Yes, it's going to go to 7. 4 is also going to go to 8. This is a function. But as soon as you look at something here, there's an issue. I know exactly where 5 is going to go, but I don't know where 4 is going to go. And so this breaks the rule of it being a function. So whenever you're checking to see if something is a function or relation or any kind of mapping, which I think they actually have coming up, if you do not know exactly where your input value, which is x, because that's input, you don't know exactly what the output is going to be, then it's not a function. So again, I know exactly what the input of 0 is going to give me. I know what 2 is going to give me, and so on. Here, I don't know what 4 is going to lead to, so it cannot be a function. A mapping is another way that they do this. And again, what they do, this is typically your in and your out. But if you look at this, I know that 3 is going to go to 9. I know that 4 is going to go to 11. I know that 5 is going to go to 9. So this is a yes. Here, I know that 1 is going to go to 4. I also know that 5 is going to go to 4. But look at this. 2 could go to 4 or 5. And because 2 gives me 2 different options, your answer is no. I like to think about like a 5-year-old. And in my own silly way, I say a stupid 5-year-old only because typically, if you give them 2 options, they're going to pick the wrong one no matter what. So you give them one option and you say, hey, when the bell rings, you go to this room. Otherwise, they don't usually pick what they want. Now, again, I don't really mean that 5-year-olds are stupid, but that's just the way I say it to kind of make it stick, that if you give someone 2 options that is not intelligent enough to decipher what's going on, they're going to choose the wrong one. And so for functions, you want it to be like that. So we learned in Algebra 1 that the vertical line test will determine whether a graph represents a function. So if I was given a graph like this, what I would do is take a vertical line and test, and I don't need to draw the vertical line, but check to see, to make sure that these vertical lines only intersect once. Once they do, here's 1, here's 1, here's 1. So it's only one time going through. As soon as you take this graph and you flip it this way, it is no longer a function because this one vertical line crosses multiple times. So if they ask you if a graph is a function, the vertical line test, you simply imagine, and usually I just take my pencil and kind of do this and then make sure that it doesn't cross more than once. And once I find one, it doesn't matter. You don't need to test anywhere else. Once it fails, it fails. So again, vertical line test is something else you learned about last year in your Algebra 1 or potentially in your Algebra 2 class. Function notation. is something else you're going to see. It replaces your f of x or replaces your y with f of x or g of x or any other similar form. So what you're used to seeing is evaluate y equals 2x plus 1 when x is equal to 6. And what that's going to change to now is if f of x equals 2x plus 1, find f of 6. Notice that this x is turning into a 6, which means that's what they want you to do. So when they say f of x equals find f of something else, it means take that number and plug it in. So you would just do 2 parentheses 6 plus 1, 12 plus 1, which is 13. Now the good news is you just went through a whole chapter, which means that if you learn to type, and you'll probably have this battle with me for a little bit, type exactly what you would write, which is 2 parentheses 6 close plus 1. It's going to give you the right answer. Oh, this is in, you get to see me fix it. Go to mode. You don't want to be in English or whatever it is. You want to be in a normal part, and you do want math print. That's actually something else that helps you out. But anyway, if I put 2 parentheses 6 close plus 1 equals, you end up with just the number 13, which is what we got. So this was good because you needed to actually do it. Now that you've actually done it, we trust you enough to know that you can get the answer. There is no need for you to work yourself to death anymore. Now, I would recommend that you still do some work, paper, pencil wise, to test your skill set, but please be careful and understand that if you don't use that skill, it does kind of fade away. So using a calculator too much can make you dependent on it. Just be careful. So again, these are examples you'll see. If t of n equals 4n squared minus 8n, find t of negative 6. You're going to put 4 parentheses negative 6 minus 8 parentheses negative 6. I'm sorry, that should be squared. I'm going to take care of my exponent first. So 4 parentheses, we know that negative 6 squared is positive 36 because we had that last chapter. I'll then do all of my multiplication. The beauty of our skill set is that I think you all are good enough to do this. 4 times, remember 36 I view as 30 plus 6. 4 times 30 is 120. 4 times 6 is 24. I believe that makes 144. Minus, don't forget that, actually not minus because that's 2 negatives which make a positive, 48. And then I simply do the addition kind of in my head. 8 plus 4 is 12, carry the 1. 4 plus 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 192 should be it. Or again, you could simply, again, and the point of teaching you how to type, how to write it, is because once you know how to write it, you know how to type it. And so you do want to practice both. It's kind of important that you do know both ways, because that way, if you're using a calculator, it saves you time. But if you also don't have a calculator, you don't lose the skill. This is the one that people didn't like because they like to put this negative as the -5. But remember, that negative is not part of that p. It is negative and then p and then squared and then plus and all that. Those things are all separate. So the negative is separate, parentheses -5 squared plus parentheses -5. As we know, I'll deal with the exponent first, which becomes negative positive 25. I guess I'll just put -5 because that's what's going to happen here. This turns into actually just negative. Using your head, you know it's going to be -25 minus 5, which would be just -30. Or again, typing in what you see here, negative parentheses -5 close. The squared button is right here by the 7 plus parentheses -5. And again, even though you are using a calculator as a shortcut, the general rule of using a calculator as a shortcut is don't take another shortcut using a calculator, which means type all of the parentheses, because your calculator will tell you the right answer even if you plug it in the wrong way. So for example, just real quick, if I type -3 squared, I get 9. Or sorry, -9. If I type parentheses -3 squared, I get +9. If you are lazy at the wrong point and you don't use the parentheses where you're supposed to, your calculator is going to tell you exactly what your answer is. Unfortunately, you typed in the wrong problem, and so you're going to miss it. So just be careful. Next 3 weeks, you can write this down in your planner if you want to get it over with. Today is 2.1. We have 2.2 and 2.3 coming up here. Thursday, I give you a day to review. Hopefully you are still, again, working ahead a little bit. So this should be the day you practice 2.1, the day you practice 2.2, the day you practice 3.3, and then this way you're done, not watching 2.1 and then having to work on 2.3 here, but that's your choice. Then we have 2.4 A and B, 2.5, 2.7a, again, another review. The difference this week coming up on our test is that 2.7 and 2.8 are both going to be taught that last week with only 2 days of review. but I will find a way to get you your test review, probably have your test review inside, or 2.7 and 2.8 as part of your test review, where I don't know how I'll do it, but we'll figure it out. But like I said, your test will be Friday 3 weeks from now, but you do have a quiz and a test coming up. Outside of that, just keep working to stay up with the videos and the homework. This is the first steps to succeeding in this class. A lot of you are already doing that. I think a lot of you made a good adjustment in around a week and a half in. Keep it up, because again, it does not get easier. Right now we are doing multiple lessons in a week, but eventually after this quarter is over, you only get about 2 lessons per week, but the material is going to get tougher. The reason we can give you more than 2, or the reason I think I can give you more than 2, is because all of this is review anyway. Just stay patient, keep asking questions, use me as much as you need, and I'll talk to you later. Good luck.